Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Life is a Chad YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. I'm a few days behind on this, but I did want to highlight the Vivek Ramaswamy, I hope I'm saying it correctly, debate performance. And it really truly was magical. Honestly, it was very impressive and it absolutely deserves highlighting. I'm going to pull some of the clips, some of his best moments. And, you know, you hear this from certain creators, and you'll definitely hear it from me. And I've said it many times. It's very interesting. Like, Donald Trump absolutely blew everything wide open and revealed, and to be frank, Bernie Sanders did as well, revealed the legitimate contempt that a strong portion of the American population has for the elite class and the establishment on both sides. And in reality, I don't even really need to say on both sides, because the establishment does what benefits them above all else, which I've said. And you know, you guys need to it is imperative for you to get out of this right-left dichotomy, or more specifically, Republican Democrat dichotomy when it comes to national politics. But he blew it wide open, and he showed exactly what was necessary, specifically Donald Trump. And this would be what separates him from Bernie Sanders, is this no holds bar, going for the jugular type performance and saying what needs to be said, what the American people care about above all else. Now, of course, you know, delivering on those things is quite another, which I have also said in the past. But, you know, after seeing this performance, and I already said it before, I highlighted a video from Ramaswamy before. I don't think it would be very difficult for me to move off of Trump this election, but in the future, Ramaswamy has now taken the lead for me as the legit option after Trump. And I think he is a legit option as a vice president partner to Donald Trump, of course. So this is from John Talks, very great channel. To me, it's the best news, one of the best news sources out there, and does so without really any commentary, just puts all the information, the memes, and does it in a very entertaining way. This was probably the single best moment of the entire debate.
This debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about, and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here. You think?
I mean, he's spot on, guys. I couldn't agree more. And while, you know, I criticized DeSantis for going the Twitter route only because it didn't have the software and it didn't have the cleanness that is required for the type of thing that he was doing. It wasn't cleanness would probably be the best way to describe it. It was very choppy. It was very clumpy. The tech for it wasn't the best. And you know, while Twitter is an excellent piece of technology when it comes to recording an actual conversation, obviously it left a lot to be desired. And I didn't think that that was the best decision for DeSantis right out of the gate to do something like that. Now, you know, especially to announce that he was going to be running. I mean, maybe down the line it would be worth it, but not up front. Now, this is a different point entirely. It's one thing to host it on Twitter. It's another to literally be the moderators on a network television, and you can still represent Twitter. Matter of fact, it'll be said over the course of the debate. So from all involved, it would be a win-win-win for all involved. Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, so on and so forth. And yes, it would reach way more people. But the main point that he was making here is how foolish and hypocritical it is to have liberals being the moderators for a Republican debate when, as he is, he may have said it, but if he hasn't, he's going to say, if it was a Democrat debate, they would never consider having somebody like Greg Gutfeld or any conservative individuals up there as moderators.
The Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate. They wouldn't do it.
Hell no.
The fact of the matter is, I mean, Christian, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment.
Honestly, I love his passion. I love his fire. I love his tenacity. He is definitely somebody to, if you share my worldview, and even if you don't, I think you can respect his willingness to call out some of the most powerful entities that be.
Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation?
Let's
Answer
go.
the question. Go.
Mr. Ramos.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to report.
And you see how like off the chain the audience went. I mean, because what the establishment and mainstream politicians think American citizens want, and what American citizens actually want, and the things that they actually want resolved, and things that impact them in real life, are two different things.
Order murder.
So anyways, that was from John Talks. Let me see if I can find it. One more clip here. So this was also very important, and I always talk about this as an America First advocate, Christian individual, Orthodox Christian, who loves this country very much. Whatever word you want to attach to that yourself is totally up to you, to accompany the Christian word. That a lot of these candidates, and this is why you can't think in this Republican, you cannot think in this Republican Democrat dichotomy. You have to view it the establishment versus the, it's the people versus the establishment. And whether it's Nikki Haley, whether it's Joe Biden, whether it's George Bush, whether it's Obama, the people who belong to the establishment class essentially are going to put forth and have very similar ideas on things across the board. Now, they might have a few nuances here and there, but a perfect example is what is going on in the Middle East. You see and granted, Donald Trump since caved when it comes to the rhetoric that he was putting out. It was looking like he was going to have tremendous pushback against Netanyahu. But you see across the board that they essentially say the same thing, because they're all working for their own means and what benefits them and their donors. And that's not like an outlandish thought. I mean, that has been happening in great civilization since the beginning of time. I was watching a documentary about Egypt and the Egyptian empire. And, Egypt was this empire that spanned thousands of years. And they had, it was such a long period of time that, they have like multiple intermediate periods and things like that. But there was a period right after one of their more successful eras where the spiritual class, the priests, if you will, Okay, I don't know what you would call them for Egyptians. They, you know, I would call them pagan nowadays. Were becoming so powerful that they would actively work against the interests of the country and the citizens of Egypt. And if you ever wonder why there aren't as many artifacts as maybe we would hope from civilizations like that, well, the answer, we know what the answer is. The answer is, of course, that one of the individuals who was running the spiritual class at the time, one of the top spiritual leaders, gave an order to ransack an Egyptian tomb because they knew how much amazing things and profitable material was within the tomb. And they called it, there was a term that they called it, it was like they called it something that would restoration. It was they called it like a restoration project. And the point that I'm trying to illustrate here is that in all great civilizations, even in civilizations that had kings and monarchs and things like that, where their sole purpose was to move in the best interest of the country and its citizens and perhaps their immediate family, you still had the elite class, the people behind the scenes working towards their own ends that would benefit them. So it's happened throughout time, this kind of bureaucratic class behind the scenes that does whatever it can to benefit them.
We need to do is to tell Israel what to do.
You tell them who's boss, Nikki.
It is not that Israel needs America. America needs Israel.
Israel first,
what?
America last.
That is insane, bro. That is insane. When I saw it, I could not believe that she fucking said that. That is fucking insane, bro. America is perhaps the greatest civilization to ever have been created in the history of the planet. And to say that it is beholden to a startup is lunacy. Now, I will say, from her viewpoint, where she has a behind the scenes look of who is really running things, and me knowing what I know about who actually runs things and who has a disproportionate amount of power. And I don't want to turn this into that type of video, but I can see why she feels this way. I can see why she thinks that way. Honestly, I can. But it's absolutely insane.
Border, and then I'll tell him as president of the United States, I'll be smoking the terrorists on our southern border. That's his responsibility. This is our responsibility.
Last thing we need to do is to tell Israel what to do.
Corrupt politicians in both parties spent trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting wars that sent thousands of our sons and daughters, people my age, to die in wars that did not advance anyone's interests.
This video is sponsored by Kamikoto, Japanese.
So anyways, that is essentially it. Let me see if I can find one more little clip here. Let's see.
Paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state.
He's talking about Ukraine, and this was spot on.
TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic. More facts for you that you won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media. The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now in the Donbass. Look.
By the way, and I believe he did mention this too, or he may mention it. I'm an Orthodox Christian, and in Ukraine, they have silenced and shut down Eastern Orthodoxy, the one true church, from existing the way that it needs to exist independently of Ukraine. And they have risen up this kind of government-sponsored Orthodox. But the bottom line is they are fucking suppressing the Orthodox Church in Ukraine. And if you're a Christian living in America, that is absolutely not okay.
Luhansk, Donetsk. These are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014.
He then pointed out that Haley, the woman who never
So, hold on.
saw a war she didn't want to get the US involved with, was completely complicit.
I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine Hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. Sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least the parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time
Ramaswamy,
thank you.
That's time.
At least to condemn their banning of Christians.
Apparently, at one stage, Haley was getting beat down so bad.
Anyways, that's essentially that. Excellent performance. I could go on and on. Very impressive. I'm impressed. And you know, I will say also one thing that I think he has that Trump doesn't necessarily have that works in his favor. I think they're both reasonably the same when it comes to articulating their points of view and things like that. But I think Vivek has a better ability to say things intensely and in the appropriate fashion, the intensity that is required, that doesn't put people off the same way that Trump does. Obviously not me, but there are times that Trump says things where, especially when it comes to women, where how it's said totally pushes them away from hearing what is said. Whereas Vivek, you know, he seems more able to tiptoe that line, which is impressive. So a lot of great stuff from my standpoint. The guy totally killed it. I'm definitely going to be paying attention more to him in the future. And, you know, at this point, I would say that he should be the #1 individual on Trump's short list. And if Trump was smart, he would be legitimate and he cared what was best for America. Now, of course, Vivek could do a 360 and totally change his perspective on things. But if Trump was smart, assuming that Vivek stays the same, he would find a way to mentor and kind of push him forth and have this kind of back-to-back administration between Trump and then him in the future and really push for this resurgency of America. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. He absolutely crushed it. Nikki Haley got fucking smoked, and it was a pleasure to see. She is absolutely a war hawk, and any legitimate conservative should not be considering her one iota. In fact, I can't even believe she's fucking still in the race. You guys know I did a video a while back making fun of her campaign video. She is what's wrong with American politics. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. If you guys want to donate to the channel, I'll put my information in the description box. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow, and facts are feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you kings next time. Christ is king. Peace.